Hi guys! Let me know that you can hear me well. I still see that we are waiting for a few people, so we are going to wait for about 1 minute. Just let me know that you can hear me well, so that would be super valuable information if I need to adjust anything or not. So let me know and I will get ready with all the materials, everything I've prepared for today. And today we're going to talk about lead scoring and the best practices, how to use UserEngage to tag, to score your users correctly. I will show you the best practices. We will start with some theory, but I promise that I will keep it super practical. So no issues with audio or video. Perfect. Thank you, Adrian. Awesome to see you here. So guys, I think it's a good starting point. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen right now. It should be the presentation. Everything all right with the screen? I see that. Hello, all good. Perfect. So guys, we're going to start. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to have you all here, especially that I see some of you folks again over from the very first webinar a few weeks ago. So for me it's super nice and I feel great to see you coming over. So we're going to start. As I mentioned before, this webinar is really practical workshop on the lead scoring and how to apply the theory to practice. So guys, what is the agenda for today? Firstly, we're going to cover the basics of lead scoring. We will define it. We'll also think about how it differs from grading, meaning scoring and grading, and why these both terms appear one by next to each other, so to say. And we are also going to speak about why we need scoring and why so many marketers and also in general companies are afraid of the scoring processes. So we will go to scoring practices, what is the starting point, and how to actually start applying the theory that it's out there, so how to use it in a practical way. Of course, I wouldn't be myself if I didn't mention how to use the theory in practice with UserEngage, because we will illustrate how to use automations with UserEngage to score your users effectively. We also think about the very best scoring processes based on your business. Then we'll go to 5 levels of lead qualification. So lead scoring, lead grading, lead qualification, and it's actually a cool part because we will mention about integrating the work of sales and marketing, because now it is said that is about competition, whose lead is that, whose responsibility for a particular loss or profit it is. So we will focus on showing how lead scoring can increase the cooperation between these two departments, so to say. So guys, we're going to speak about two most important stages when it comes to the conversion funnel that we discussed last week, because we were talking from the very beginning until the very last stage. But today, we are going to concentrate on the most crucial aspects. These are marketing qualified leads, sales accepted leads, and sales qualified leads. So actually the process when the lead is qualified as valuable and is one step before the purchase. So guys, what is lead scoring? Lead scoring is, as you can see here, a method that is used to estimate the worthiness, how valuable a potential lead, a potential customer is, by while visiting a particular page. For example, let's say we have an e-commerce and we have a visitor, right? And how to score, how to value that person based on particular factors that we're going to talk about in a second. In other words, lead scoring is used to estimate, to determine if we're going to make money on a from a particular visitor, and let's say keep it, sustain it. So if the person will come back, and that we will grow our profits based on that particular visitor. So lead scoring is super useful, but in order to work, we need to ask ourselves a few questions. So first of all, there are quite few methods how to score users. Of course, scoring something that involves numbers, right? So let's say that we have 3 prospects, as you can see on the screen. We have 3 people. 3 of them are returning visitors, right? So let's say we're going to start from the bottom one. So the bottom one receives 25 points. Okay, so the person, the visitor, the prospect, is her value is, let's say, 25 points. But the next prospect, the following one, has seen that site, let's say at least twice during 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So we can add more points to that person. Okay, so the value of the prospect increases. The third example is involves a person who not only is a returning visitor visiting you again, but for example the country is United States, and you are mostly focused on delivering particular products to the United States. Let's say these are products connected with American football. Oh, that we're going to discuss in a second, by the way, with American football and with a particular team. So the person receives the biggest amount of points. Based on that, you can estimate the probability, the chance that the person will purchase something from you. So, what do you think? Which prospect, the lady, the man in green or with glasses and red, would require to take action immediately? Of course, the first one, the red one. So that's why we score. And I want to show you how to use the practices to automate the entire process. So you may ask, okay, it's very cool, but why should we actually focus on lead qualification? So how to qualify them, how to group them, and score them. Imagine that you were playing on a team. Doesn't matter if you prefer the left or the right one depicted on the screen. But the point is, imagine that you have the ball, right? And you need to cooperate to score the points, right? And imagine that there is an internal conflict inside one team. Like, no, I want to have the ball, so I'm going to run across the entire field so that I can score the point, because that's my point, that's my ball. I want it. I have it. Imagine that half of the team represents marketing. Half of the team represents sales. And here comes marketing, which get the ball, right? Like, hey, here's a lead, here's the lead. And they need to cooperate. They need to organize their strategy in such a way, of course, this is super symbolic, to handle that ball to sales, who can take care of it and score the point. Super metaphorical. The point is that inside a company, there might be many conflicts between marketing and sales, because marketing can blame sales for bad results, like hey, we are giving you, like, we are handling you great leads, why aren't you actually taking the advantage out of it? And the sales department is like, come on, you call these leads hot leads? These are like, they are worth nothing. So there's always a conflict. And you may ask, okay, cool, but how to avoid it? In order to avoid it, you need to score the leads so that they are marketing qualified lead, accepted by sales, and qualified by sales. In other words, you need to establish particular order of scoring the leads that come in. So it's a very good point, actually, to speak about leads leaking out right now, because of this conflict between, let's say, a civil war between marketing and sales. The cooperation is really difficult and the leads are leaking out, meaning that because of estimating their worthiness in an inaccurate way, it's impossible to take care of the most valuable ones, and you start neglecting them absolutely unconsciously, but the precious leads are leaking out. So that's why scoring, that's why lead qualification, to avoid leads leaking out, so that you can get with the very best message to the most valuable leads right away. So guys, I mentioned before marketing qualified leads, sales accepted leads, and sales qualified leads. What you can see here is the marketing funnel that starts with a subscriber. Sorry about that, with a subscriber. And then we have a lead, meaning that it goes let's say in the hierarchy up. Then we have a lead that has been accepted by marketing and is handled to sales. When it comes to the opportunity, we're speaking about like one step before being a customer. So as you can see, in order to actually start with lead scoring, lead qualification, you need to ask yourself a question: where a particular lead is situated. And in order to do that, we need to find the very best answer to how to score leads effectively. And there are two types of criteria. Let's call them offsite and onsite. Offsite criteria, let's say that you attended a conference. Oops, sorry about that. But the thing is that you attended a conference and you got a lot of business cards. And based on these business cards, you are able to estimate whether somebody is like the value of a particular lead, right? Because these leads are not on your page, they are not online, they are in the offline world. So firstly, we have a business card. Let's answer the question, what is the industry, what is the category of the business that the person is running? Whether it's a B2B, but with the main focus on the online business, meaning that their focus on content marketing, the website is the main focus. If not, if they prefer to organize their sales offline, it's not really like our case that we can automate the processes that would affect the offline world, so to say. But continuing, when it comes to industry, let's think whether a person comes from a SaaS company, or maybe the person is from e-commerce. So these are super valuable pieces of information together with, for example, job position. Because if somebody is, let's say, head of marketing, it's a valuable sort of piece of information, right? But if there is just, if we have a person that comes from Nestle and it's, whoa, that's really cool, but this is just an intern, it will not give you a huge value. Then we have the size of the company, country, online traffic of that page, whether because we are talking about particular page, right? If the page is popular or not, if they have a lot of traffic coming. I will also show you Alexa rank. This is the rank of, I think, 1 million the most let's say popular websites, and I will also show you how to use that information to score, and also mysteries technologies. So I will show you a cool plugin that will enable you to see what kind of technologies are used on a particular page of a given lead. The second criteria is connected with on-site matters, meaning that, let's say you have a website, right? And somebody arrives on that page, and you can track the number of page views, visits, whether a person visits a particular page. And you may ask, why is it so important? Because imagine that, compare these two scenarios. Somebody arrives on your pricing page for the second or third time. It gives you a lot of information about his or her interests, right? But if somebody is visiting careers over and over again, the chances that that particular person buys something is is nothing, right? I remember the study that has been conducted, but sorry, I don't actually remember the name. I will follow up with the name. That the chances that the person will insert the credit card information for a SaaS platform when he or she sees the pricing page at least 2 times are, I think, 12 to 15%. But when somebody visits careers at least 2 times, the chances are less than 2%. Then we have performing specific actions. Let's say somebody somebody adds something to the cart, or somebody clicks a specific button on your page that is connected with a direct contact with one of your consultants. These actions are called events. So of course I will get back to it. Then if somebody downloads certain materials like ebooks, reports, or for example takes part in one of your webinars, so the person is not only engaged in terms of the product service, but the person is more and more engaged also in terms of education, in terms of learning more and becoming really a part of the company, of the business. So guys, it's time to automate. So I'm going to go one by one, because I think that speaking about so many criteria, it can be confusing. I will go one by one off-site and on-site. And based on UserEngage, I will show you how to use these criteria to score your users automatically. We're going to start with a particular industry and category. Imagine that you're running a business and you have your own page and you have many visitors, and you have a tool that enables you to identify their email addresses. For example, because you are running a SaaS platform and you can see all the emails that have been used to actually register, then to log in. And you can tell that a particular trial user has a specific ending, right? And you can tell that this is a person that is a SaaS platform, so that you can tag that particular user. And now, if a specific tag is added to one of the users, then an action path can be triggered based on tag added. So when the tag is added, SaaS, we're going to change the score, meaning add 20 points. Of course, you can also deduct, subtract points, but in this matter, it doesn't really apply, right? It is about adding the points for a particular industry category, so that if for your business, if you're running a business that e-commerce is the most valuable one, you would add 40 points, or B2B would be 60. The matter of points relies on you. It's not established anywhere. It's up to you what kind of metrics you want to have. Secondly, we're going to think about job title. Let's say that we're going to use the trigger on date on time. And guys, I really want you to be really careful with that trigger, because it starts the entire action path for your entire database. That's why all the filters should be applied within that trigger, so that we are able to perform the action, like the trigger, to start the trigger right away. If you apply filters next to it, then firstly, we will filter the entire database from inside, like once, and then for every single record, we're going to analyze the request based on that filter. So it will take a great amount of time. Plus, it's really it's a very heavy request to the database, which will have the action not as effective as you would like, and it also causes a lot of issues when it comes also with making it effective on our side. So a huge kind request to use the filters inside on date and time, because the request then isn't as heavy as it would be while having the filters next to it. But going back, let's say that on date and time, we're going to every 7 days, we're going to find every single person whose email address we have, who has visited us less than 7 days ago. And for example, the job title would be CMO. Okay, because we have imported this information in a CSV file, we have them in our database, and we can filter all these folks and add points if they, within 7 days, visited us at least once. Then I will go to the size of the company. The same story. I use the custom attribute that they are able to add with settings, app settings, client attributes, and that is exactly 50. So if there is a person who has been who is a part of the company that is the size is exactly 50, of course this is just an example, the score added would be 100. Then we have country. Let's say that we have a country here that is India, and we're running an e-commerce or a SaaS platform. And every country like has a different culture, different kind of way of perceiving also help desk and customer support. And the thing is that people from particular countries require more different kind of support, meaning that the support would be like, a lot of questions that need personal opinions, that it's really actually difficult to deliver the very best quality of that service, because it's so how to say that, like, it involves a lot of energy, a lot of effort. And for example, if you are just about to if you have a limited number of consultants, you can also subtract points if there is a person from a particular country, because for example, on particular examples, that people from India ask a lot of questions. They sign up to personal demos, but they do not actually show up. Of course, this is just a generalization, just an example, and I don't want to offend anybody, so this is really just an example. Sorry if anybody was offended, I didn't mean that. The point is that based on the country which is detected because of the IP, we are also able to subtract particular points. Speaking about traffic, I'm sure you're familiar with SimilarWeb. This is a plugin that you can just simply add to your Chrome, and you will be able to see certain global rank and the traffic on a particular page. So let's say somebody visits you and you have the email address. You know that the person comes from a particular, like, say, company. You're checking the website, and out of the box you can check the traffic. So you will know, let's say, the whether the traffic is huge, how you should score that person. So it also gives you a lot of information. The second plugin that I wanted to mention is, of course, Alexa Rank. It's very similar to SimilarWeb, but here the point is that it shows you certain statistics. It shows you certain like the rank of a page. Like, I use the example of oned.pl, which is the second like biggest page website in Poland, and you can see particular statistics, and it also gives you a great source of knowledge. Then, speaking about technologies, let's say I will describe it on our own example. We have a marketing automation platform, and we have a new lead. And I go to that lead's website, and I see that there is no live chat, or there is nothing that would indicate that the person is using any sort of marketing automation platform. Okay, and then thanks to build with plugin, I'm able to see exactly what kind of technologies are used on that particular page. So, for example, I know that one of the live chat solutions is used, even though it is hidden, right? I cannot see it right away. For example, I can see it only after logging in. So it gives a lot of information about that page, and what kind of now I know what kind of cold mailing campaign I can send, or what kind of information message I can deliver to that person in connection with the technologies that are used at the moment. So I wouldn't be like, hey, I see that you're not using any live chat solution. No, I know that you're using this and that, and I would offer you something better. So these are off-site. Let's go to on-site, meaning that I know exactly what kind of actions are taken by visitors, users on my page. So for example, let's say I'm running like I have a blog, or I have a website that like e-commerce, and I have one person that like is super loyal. The person buys over and over again, and I think it's really important to indicate that in the CRM that the scoring of that person is much higher, right? Or if the person is a loyal reader. So on this example, with On Date and Time, we're going to check the entire database. We can repeat it every day. And if I have an email address of a particular subscriber and the page views is greater than 500, I can add 100 points. Of course, timing is 1, so it will run once per particular person. Another example, visits on particular pages. We discussed the idea with pricing and career, right? So if somebody comes to my pricing page, every visit can result in changing the score plus 15 plus 15. So whenever somebody comes, the points would be added. On the other hand, if we have a person that is not really interested in our prices product, just wants to work with us, we can deduct the points. The person can be super, valuable in terms of like being a human being, but the person will not actually buy anything from us. Performing specific actions. Let's say that we have a given event like a registration, and for registration we can add 100 points. Or if somebody adds, or if somebody clicks the button, contact us. These are all events, and you can create an event on every single button. So whenever somebody clicks a specific button, let's say 20 points would be added, or only for the first time. So it's absolutely up to you. What I wanted to highlight is that last week we introduced attribute value inside events. I will describe it on the example of UserEngage. Let's say that we have our users, our customers, and they import contacts, right? So whenever they import contacts, there is the event that is triggered. So we know that somebody has imported the contacts. Now the question is, how many contacts they have added? So sending that information inside the event, we're able to see whether, for example, the person has added 10 contacts. So the person is not really, sure what to do, but it's a good start. Or if somebody has added 10,000 contacts and the person is still on a trial. So I see that the person is more and more and more engaged. So based on that, I can change custom attribute. And guys, look here. Here is just change score, meaning that there is a standard attribute with UserEngage and simply you add points. But from now on, you can define your own custom attribute. You see here on the right, change custom attribute and introduce your own attribute, like, I don't know, let's say advanced in configuration, showing how engaged a person in a trial is. And for example, if somebody has added 1,000 contacts, there will be 20 points added to the profile. So I think that it will give you an idea how you can use change custom attribute based on the events performed. If there is a certain value sent in events, I'm going to change the custom attribute. Of course, you can use it in whatever scenario you prefer, but the thing is to actually be able to score them effectively. And this is a very simple scenario because it is based on form submitted. Let's say that somebody has requested to download an ebook. So the person submitted a specific form. Let's say that it doesn't really it doesn't necessarily require clicking a specific button, but it can be also a form. Hey, I want to download an ebook. Okay, here's my email address. So after that, you can send the email campaign with the promised materials. Plus, if the person clicks the link inside the email to download the ebook, you can add, let's say, 20, 30, 40 points. The last one is connected with webinars, because if somebody clicks the button, let's say schedule a call or sign up for a webinar, you can add a specific point. And of course, you can also integrate it with Zapier from now on, so that you have everything within one place. So you can send the information, the information is triggered from your Google Sheets about a certain webinar invite, webinar sign up, and then send the information as an event to UserEngage. So it will also give you a great knowledge. So these are about practical instructions connected with UserEngage. I would also like to tell you more about lead qualification. It is connected with band, budget, authority, need, and time frame. So these are aspects that need to be taken into consideration while qualifying a specific need. Budget, how much money? Authority, if the person is a decision maker or not. Need, wait, is the person looking for a solution, or we need to, let's say, show that the person needs that? So if the person has recognized the need yet or not. Time frame. Prospect has time frame for solving their problem. Let's say somebody comes to you and the person is like, hey, I need a pair of leather shoes for my wedding. Not only does it give you information about the authority, I need. So the need is recognized. You have a specific reason plus time frame. So if the person tells you like, for Saturday's wedding, can you make it work, or can you deliver? So it gives you a super determined and hot lead. And these are the aspects when it comes to qualified opportunity, lead, and inquiry. So if we have the budget that has been defined and fits your solution specs, then it's of course qualified opportunity. The same with authority, need, and time frame. So I don't want to steal more of your time going one by one. I think it's pretty clear. I just want to really highlight the thing that when it comes to scoring and lead qualification, we need to answer one simple question. Does the person know what you're doing, what you're selling, what you offer? And if the person has recognized the need, the person has authority or not, any time frame, and of course, budget for that. Okay, you may ask, because while gathering the information and while speaking with different customers, I get a question that is connected with actually lead scoring and lead grading. What is the difference? When it comes to lead scoring, you add or deduct a particular number of points, which is clear, and based on that you can estimate whether you want them to be qualified hot leads, or rather be like, okay, we're not going to take care of them at all, or maybe we will just postpone it. The second aspect is connected with grading. As you can see in scoring, it is adding points, so they add up. Here you have particular categories, and if they apply to a specific person. So for example, if the job title is or is not enough, meaning that if the person is a manager or the person is an intern, nope. If a person is a manager, or if the person is even a CTO in particular cases, cool, check. So grades are connected with qualification to particular categories. Yes or no. Scoring, questions. So I think that it gives it, it shows it very clearly, vividly, what the difference really is. So having covered that, I think that it's a very good point to actually speak about the best practices when it comes to lead scoring and lead qualification. Guys, Scoring should mirror, oh, there should be double R, my mistake, the willingness and readiness to purchase. In other words, scoring isn't just points for points. This needs to have it needs to mirror your strategy. So scoring should be a clear indication that a person wants to purchase something from you. So when you create your own scoring points, whatever you prefer, even grades, depending on your strategy, think about it. Like, have it written down, have it established within the company so that sales and marketing can cooperate. And of course, not every action is equally important. You need to think whether clicking download a report number 1 is equally important as the downloading the one that will be published within, I don't know, 3 weeks, or a report. So you need to distinguish, you need to establish a certain scale of how important specific actions are. This, having done that, will enable you to score them effectively. Of course, scoring means adding and deducting points. But as I said before, these are not just points for points. They are a clear indication whether a person is willing, ready, whether the person is, it shows the worthiness of a specific person in terms of the purchase. So it's really important to have the scale of points ready and have it somewhere written down, because like the situation that I see every single day is great scenarios, great scoring processes, but at some point there are so many different scoring actions, automations, that the points are somehow, we lose track of how many points were for what. So it's really important to do that. Not every email opening involves the same value, meaning that if we are sending an email with a discount, it is not equally important to a specific email with downloading an ebook for e-commerce. So it's really important to remember that. Okay, establish your own points, that as I mentioned, and stop guessing with scoring. Apply it accordingly to your own business. As I said before, we have different kind of businesses, and each business has a different way of functioning, different kind of clients, of course, and so on and so on. Obviousness, so to say. The thing is that there's no universal truth in terms of establishing a particular scale of points or particular actions. You need to think, you need to decide which actions are crucial for your business, which actions show the biggest engagement of your users. And last but not least, I want to highlight how important scoring is for sales and marketing, not competing at all. How to make them cooperate with leads that are qualified in the best way. As I showed you on the examples, you're able to adjust the scoring processes, have them automated, and which saves you a lot of time, which is maybe not effortless, to be honest, because it requires to actually sit down, think about your strategy, establish the points, but it's so worth it. So guys, dream big, start small. Small steps. Don't try to score every single thing, okay, now I'm inspired, I'm gonna do it. No. Easy, step by step. Start with a few actions and you will see how it goes with the business. You will see also how you and your team actually work with that, because it's a new type of thing. You also need to get used to it. That's why get fast wins and build from there. Meaning that starting step by step with very simple, very few scoring actions will give you also knowledge of which leads are qualified in the good way, in the bad way. So it's also learning on your own mistakes. That's why step by step. Thank you guys. It was really cool to see you all here. I think that when it comes to scoring, it gives you a lot of, let's say, great knowledge when it comes to the needs of a specific person. So you can adjust the messages that are delivered, mails, chat, pop-ups, not only based on the, let's say, on-site activity that we discussed, but also off-site. That's why if you have any kind of questions, what else you can do to have them scored in the very best way, just let me know. If you have any doubts, any questions, you can ask them right away, or if you're shy, don't be shy, you can always send me all the questions to marta@userengage.com. Once again, thank you so much, have a great day, and see you next week.